Welcome, everybody. This is Rama on Riding, coming to you live from beautiful, sunny Sedona, Arizona. I don't have a funny hat today, so I apologize for that. I got up awfully early to get this remote retreat running, and I had thought about a hat, but I ran out of the house without it. So, next week we'll be back with the funny hat. We don't have an author interview for this week, so for all of you who got the email, we are going to be talking about blogging. And blogging is another one of the essential components of our digital marketing. Most of you have done a little bit of blogging or thought of doing blogging or thought of all the reasons why you don't want to do blogging. Whatever it is, you've at least mentioned the term blogging. Now, I do remember the first time I heard the term, I really didn't have a clear understanding of what it meant. And I think that a lot of us still may not have a full understanding of what a blog is, and why we blog, and what should go in a blog, and how to set up a blog. And some of you do, but the first thing I'd like to say about blogging is that it is a lot easier and simpler than we make it to be. The amount of content per blog is usually a lot shorter than we imagine. And so by giving you a guideline into how much information we need to provide in a blog, I think that will help a little bit. You know, most blogs are between 350 words and 750 words. Now, if you'll think back to when you wrote at Tom's retreat, we were shooting for somewhere between 400 and 500 words every 15 minutes. So, if you think logically about this, we could write a blog posting in 15 minutes. And we could sit down on a Saturday afternoon for 2 or 3 hours, and we could write a month's worth of blog posting. So if you think about it in that term, then it becomes a much more doable component. Most of us think that a blog is something that we need to write that day and post that day. Well, once I bring Greg on, he's going to show us and explain how you can schedule your blogs. So if you have a free Saturday afternoon and you write 12 blogs, you can have that scheduled to post once a week for 3 months before you have to write more blogs. So if you were to devote yourself, let's say every other Saturday afternoon, and let's just say an hour Saturday afternoon, you could write a month's worth of blogs. You could schedule them to go out. And by the time the second one went out, you could have written 4 more. So you could now have enough blogs for 2 months. Okay, the key is, and I know authors and everyone does resist when I say this magic word, the key is scheduling your time, okay? Scheduling your plan, planning your promotion, okay? It is difficult to think that way because, and I'm a businessman. My first real job in this world when I was in my early 20s was as a productivity consultant. We brought plans to people that didn't want to plan. We brought plans to people that couldn't plan because the work wasn't scheduled. Well, we taught them otherwise. And the beauty about a plan is that you can change it. Okay, and I'm going to say that a second time because I think that we need to hear this. The beauty of a plan is that you can modify it, you can change it, you can update it. So if we were to look at our whole year of blogging, knock out the months that we don't want to actually engage in blogging. You know, everyone wants to take holidays. You know, there is the holiday time. Maybe we don't want to blog during that point in time. We can get an idea of the amount of time we have available for blogging. For those of you just starting out, it's going to feel like you're going to be blogging for yourself. And when I first started the Rama on Writing webinars, there were a few people, you know, 3 or 4 people. Now, you know, I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. There are 18 people on. That is the norm now for my webinars. And whether I send out a reminder or not, that seems to be you know, a pretty consistent number of people that really want to engage and learn. So as you become consistent with your blogs, and again, I'm going to say this word again because this is the key, consistency. Okay, that doesn't mean that you have to, you know, write your blog every Thursday. That means you need to post your blog every Thursday. Okay, consistency. How many of you have a favorite TV show that you tune into? You know what time it is, okay? You make an effort. It's the same way with our blogs, is that if we become consistent, then our audience begins to expect something from us on a regular basis, and they look forward to it. Okay, bear in mind that we can write those blogs ahead of time. And as I say, in a moment, I'm going to unmute Greg, and he's going to explain those components a little bit. And again, it's just like that contact software. There are templates, there are all kinds of things that make it easy for us. And of course, beginning is the hard part because we're afraid if we click something, our computer will blow up. Well, I don't think we have to worry about that. But at one point in time, you know, maybe we did. And so we have a little bit of that in the back of our mind that we're going to click something and something's going to go wrong. We don't have to worry about that because if we blow up our website, Greg can get it back for us. So, you know, we do have to step up to the plate, you know, with these sorts of things, and getting started is the hard part. Okay, so going back to consistency, I haven't done this, but if you want to try to determine what day and time it is best to post your blog, if you plug that into Google, you're going to find people that have done analytical studies to determine when it's the time to post your blog, and you can adhere to that. My biggest ally in learning everything is Google. You know, we have Google and Amazon running our lives nowadays. We can resist it, we can bitch and moan about them, but we can also utilize them to be effective at what we do and to learn at what we do. So you can determine what time it is, or you could just make up a time. Now, one of the things that I've noticed is that as we build an audience, it may be an effective path to blog twice a week instead of once a week, 3 times a week instead of 2 times a week, okay? So what tends to happen is that as we build an audience, we can produce more information for them. But we're not worried because we're authors, we know how to write. Okay, so we have an advantage, and you know, I say that a little bit tongue in cheek, but I can't stress enough that Most people on the internet running websites are starving for content. Okay, so we all have that ability to provide our own content. We were talking to a gentleman who was may or may not. Tom and I are a little bit concerned about when we bring in a new program, we never know what we're getting into. So we kind of do a lot of trial and error. We ask a lot of stupid questions. We kind of make people jump through hoops a little bit to see how they respond before we're willing to really hire them. And so we have this guy that's working with a social media dashboard. And so we're trying to explain to him what we need. And the first word out of his mouth, even though both Tom and I have told him, 2 or 3 times that we're working with authors, they can provide content. First word out of his mouth was, well, I'm going to have to hire people to make content. And it's like, but the point is that in most internet marketing, content is what the issue is. Now, I know you all can provide content, but I have to say that Greg doesn't know that, because he and I talk about that on a regular basis, that, our authors don't really provide him the content that he asks for. So everybody that's working with Greg, you need to step up to the plate and provide him the content. It's easier for us to do than anyone else. And, we just don't do it. So put that on your plan. Number 1, give Greg more content. Okay. Again, I like laughing and making fun of myself and others, but I'm the worst of it all, because I have provided Greg 0 content, 0 for my website. So all of you have done a better job than I have. And, and for me, I have all that content running around in my mind, okay? So it's time to actually transmit through the pen and get that out there so that Greg can actually build that website that I have envisioned. Okay, now taking a step back, content providing, okay? That is what we're all about with our blogging. Now, one of the other components about our blog, the question is, well, what do I write in the blog? And that's a good question. And if you ask, 10 experts, they can tell you 10 different things about what your blog should have, okay? One of the things they may not say that I will say is that the blog is a perfect opportunity to share who we are. So we're thinking, well, I have to blog because I have a book. I have to blog on the book's topic. Well, yes, you probably want to blog on the book's topic, but maybe not exclusively. Maybe you like going to movies, and maybe blogging about the movie that you just saw or that you want to see and why could be helpful, because you're sharing who you are. This goes back to this story I've told hundreds, maybe thousands of times, okay? When I had my bike shop and someone walked in the door, I didn't immediately try to sell them something. What I tried to do was become their friend right from the start. So our blog is a way that we can show who we are, so that people are saying, oh, Maurice is a great guy. I'm not really interested in his book on dieting, but he writes a great column about movies. So I'm going to check that out, and then maybe he's going to make a connection between the movies and his idea about the psychological components of dieting. And I'm going to say, well, I'm not concerned about dieting, but this guy's talking about something that I can apply to a part of my life. Okay, so, blogging can be multi-topic. And, one of my components, and, Rama thinks differently than everybody else, so you have to accept that. I have a lot of friends that want to write about mountain biking. Well, heck, I'm going to give them a column in my blog. So maybe you all have other people that you might want to team up with and provide them an opportunity to be a guest blogger with you. One of the components, and if you'll remember the title of today's webinar, and I hope you remember it because I don't, the word cross-blogging was in there, okay? Cross-blogging is blogging on other people's sites or having other people blog on your site. Okay, we have a standing offer. I got an email or a text, I can't remember exactly which, I think it was a text, from Catherine Carrigan. Catherine Carrigan is one of our authors who has excelled in marketing and promoting of her book. She's writing book number 3 now. The tools that we taught her about marketing, she has applied to her business, and her business has grown as a result of that. She offers that she will post one of your blogs if you post one of her blogs. Okay, so you can either contact her directly. I don't have her email, but if you were to Google Catherine Carrigan, What is Healing, you would find her website. You can drop her an email, or you can drop me an email, Rama, R-A-M-A, @tombird.com, and I will pass on the information. This is a one-for-one exchange. She's willing to do this on a regular basis. Why is she willing to do that? Because that will give her more content to provide. And ultimately, the people you know who don't know her yet will wander into her website perhaps and maybe become part of her mailing list, part of her newsletter, and maybe they'll buy her book. Okay, that is the component of cross-blogging. Now, there are websites out there that are genre-specific for your genre, your interests. It does require that you plug in Google some information, Tom Pitts, veterans, concerns even, blogs for veterans. Okay, you will find opportunities there. It may require that you become a friend of that website owner, that blog owner, before you want to offer up some cross-blogging opportunities. The way you do that is by checking out that person or that website, that blog on a regular basis and making comments to the existing blog, okay? Rule of thumb is when you check out a site like that, look at how new the information is. Usually there's a date stamp on activity for a blog, okay? So if you find a site that you think is great, but the last time that person put up a blog was 2 years ago, chances are they're no longer working that site, okay? They may have done great work initially, and that's why it came up real quick in the search engine, but it does require that you check that kind of thing out. You also want to check out frequency. If somebody is posting very frequently, once a day, once every other day, chances are they're going to want a little bit of help so that they can take some time off. And so those are sites that could be very effective. Again, you do need to establish a rapport first, or it's a better path. Some people may not require that, but I think it's a good, safe hedge to establish rapport, make comments. Boy, that was a great post you had. Even if you're just going to email them directly, reference something you read on their site. Boy, that post you had about this and that really changed my life. And if you do that a few times, you might just work your way into an opportunity. And the key about why you would want to cross-blog is that that person's blog is going to attract and may already be attracting people who don't know you. So most times when you do offer a cross-blog, when you post for somebody else on a different website, you don't get paid to do this. What you do get is the opportunity to put your website information on it, or maybe the name of your book and a link to purchase the book or something like that. So bear in mind, and I know a lot of us get into a situation over time where we've provided a lot of content for somebody to the point where they rely very heavily on us, and we think that, well, maybe we should get paid for this. I used to write articles for singles papers for the local newspaper. I mean, it took me time to do this. But I never got paid to do that. That was just a way that I could promote myself. So this is a great way that we can promote ourselves at no cost to us. Okay, Tom Carroll was asking about, this in our last webinar about, well, everything costs money to do, and there are a lot of things that do cost money. And we do need to establish a budget of how much we're willing to spend on a monthly, yearly basis for our book promotion. But this is the type of thing that may not cost anything. So it does provide us opportunities. And Catherine Carrigan has offered to start the ball rolling. Of course, you would need to have a blog up on your website so that you could share her blog, okay? So it does cost you that effort. So, even though Catherine and I are good friends, I would not put her in a position to post my blog because I don't have a place for her to post her blog yet. Okay, now we've determined that blogs are not necessarily long, 350 to 750 words. We have determined that we can sit down on a Saturday afternoon and write a month, 2 months, 3 months of blogs. We have determined that we can schedule those blogs to go up so that we don't necessarily have to do it all in real time. What we haven't talked about is the title and the first sentence of a blog. Okay, those are the two most critical components. And there's one more that we're going to get Greg to talk about momentarily. Okay, so if we are writing a blog about our book topic, so to speak, okay, because most of us, our website is focused around that, and it might be a little more expansive than our book per se. But we have worked with Greg in this process, and we have determined that there are keywords that we're using for our website, okay? We want to get that list from Greg if we don't have it so that we can have that in front of us. We want to try and utilize those keywords in the title for our blog. We want to try and incorporate that keyword or that long tail keyword in the first sentence of our blog. This is an art form, okay? This is where you need to become the artist that you truly are, because you need to do this in a way where your audience isn't looking at, well, this blog is just to have this keyword in it. Okay, so it's kind of a little bit of a puzzle. Now, there's also a description in the back office component of your blog. And as I say, we're going to unmute Greg in a moment. He's going to talk a little bit about the nitty-gritty behind all of this. Think back when the last time you Googled a term, you got a bunch of websites and you got a description of that website. You got a title and you got a little description that came up when you did that Google, okay? Many times you get your answer in that description. How does that description end up there? Okay, that's the back office component of your blog. And WordPress has a back office component for every blog. Now, because I'm a generalist and I haven't blogged, so I can't explain this in detail, I'm going to unmute our expert here when I find him. Okay, I've unmuted Greg. So, Greg, how correct or incorrect was I about the title of your blog and the first sentence of your blog? And can you explain where I went wrong and what I need to know that I don't know?
Rama, everything you said is correct. I probably don't need to say anything else. You did it exactly the way you needed to. Actually, let me backtrack a little bit because I know there's some new people on the line right now, and let's talk about terminology, because the word blog and post are used and thrown around a lot, and there's some confusion about which one is. A blog is kind of like, think of it as your journal. The journal sitting beside your bedstand. It's a journal of different events or entries that you make. An entry is like a post. You're going to post individual entries into your blog. Okay, so hopefully that analogy breaks it down a little. So someone may use, hey, yeah, I'm going to write a blog. Well, writing a blog is not the post itself, the entry itself. The blog is the whole thing that encompasses all of the posts, all of the entries. So as you're talking with people, just keep in mind that people are going to probably use those words interchangeably. So a post is the individual entry. The blog is the whole library of every single entry. So I just wanted to throw that out there to kind of help clear up some confusion on that. Rama mentioned about the title. That is very correct. Let's say my keyword is author websites. Okay. Well, that's a highly popular title. So what I want to do is I want to refine a little bit, like Rama said, which will be like a long tail. So I want to make it a little longer. So maybe I say creating an author website. So now I've really narrowed into something specific about author websites. So by putting that in the title, tell you what, let's do a screen share. Let's see.
You see, Greg didn't really have an opportunity to prepare.